So let's go over the weigh-in procedures. This will cover the daily and the general weigh-in. Note that male weighmasters will only weigh in male boxers, and female weighmistresses will only weigh in female boxers. This is no exceptions to this rule, ever. So let's look at a couple of things on the general weigh-in. They will be conducted prior to the draw, and they will be along with the boxer's physical. A boxer shall not exceed the maximum of the boxer's weight class, nor be below the minimum of the boxer's weight class. This is done in the general weigh-in. Note at the daily weigh-in, once the tournament starts, only the maximum weight limit should be controlled, not the minimum weight limit. There will be zero tolerance on any weight over the designated weights. A boxer will have only one opportunity to weigh in on the official scale. A test scale must be available and calibrated. The test scale must be of the same calibration as the official scale. If it is different, it needs to be noted on the scale itself. The general weigh-in times will be 2 hours or until completed. The daily weigh-in will be 1 hour or until completed. At the weigh-in, if a boxer is wearing a dressing or an abrasion or a laceration, blood is swelling on any area of the head, the decision will be made by the ringside doctor examining the boxer on the day the boxer is competing. So at our national tournaments, the boxer sees the doctor, and that doctor is going to say whether that boxer can compete or not. So if he has a dressing on abrasion or laceration, just let him weigh in with it. It's okay. It's not adding a lot of weight. So that brings us to the boxer shall weigh in with the body being clean of all clothing except for swimming suits or underwear. The boxer's socks need to come off before he steps on the scale. Just in case the boxer is close on his weight, and the boxer will usually know that, he can drop the trunks. He or she can drop the trunks in order to make weight. There will be no jewelry or body piercing on any part of the body. So all the earrings, etc., need to come out. Boxers must be clean shaven, no mustache, no beards. This is no exception. They need to be shaven before the weigh-ins. Once again, no pass book, no boxing, no exception. Late arrivals to the weigh-in, boxers will be disqualified once the last boxer has weighed. So it's very important that the boxers are there. You need to, coaches, officials that know the coaches, make sure that when we designate a time for the boxers, that they're there. Okay.
Let me just cover a couple of points that came up in some of the previous speakers. We talked about the uniform. If you can stand up. And we explained the tank top, the trunks. We mentioned that in amateur boxing, the vest is required. And the vest is primarily for several reasons. One is to prevent rope burns. If the boxer comes close to the rope, it kind of slides, it prevents the rope burns. In the past, we used to say that the tank top is also for the boxer to clean his gloves. Now we're making the referee do that to distinguish amateur boxing from professional boxing. But what's one other thing that this young man also does for the judges? He tells them what corner he's in. So coaches, one thing I would recommend, if your boxer's in the red corner, this is perfect. Excuse me, if he was in the blue corner and he's wearing this and a blue head guard, might you confuse the judges? I wouldn't gamble with that. If you're in the red corner, make sure you wear that and this. Now there is no doubt in the eyes of the judge who that boxer is. Okay, you want to make sure you give your boxer all the advantage in the world. Thank you. The other thing that came out was regarding clinics, coming to different clinics and extending your certification level for 24 months every time you come. But what's the other advantage that you get by coming to multiple clinics? You're updating, rules change, you get a different speaker. Sometimes, if you're like me, I'm slow. Sometimes it takes me a little while to understand things and catch on, and a speaker will say something maybe a little different, and you say, I got it, I understand it now. So, or somebody will ask a question that'll make you understand that situation or that rule or that procedure better. So I highly recommend, even if you come to this clinic today, you get certified today, there's another clinic next month, go to it. I highly recommend it. The other thing that was discussed was, we mentioned AOB, WSB, and APB. Does everybody understand what the difference between them is? Or a little cloudy? So AOB is AIBA Open Boxing. So that's what we currently have today, the international side of boxing. Our national boxers compete to one day represent the United States in international competition. That's AOB. So the World Championships, the Pan American Games, the Olympics, that's AOB. Now we've ventured off into two different programs within AIBA. The first one is called WSB, which is the World Series of Boxing. It's the first time that anybody has done anything regarding a team competition that has semi-pro rules, okay? So our boxers that were in AOB now have asked to be in the World Series of Boxing. They get paid, they get an annual salary, they also get paid for their competitions whether they win or lose. But like I said, it's a team competition. In this past season that ended in May, there was 12 franchises around the world. And this team competition has their regular matches. Then the teams that have the most points go into the quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals. The teams win money for their franchises. The nice thing is that the boxers competing in the World Series of Boxing do not lose their eligibility as an amateur. They can still box in the Olympics, okay? This next season that starts in January with the World Series of Boxing, we're gonna have 16 franchises. The nice part also is that for the Olympic quotas, some of the boxers that will be allotted will be from the World Series of Boxing. So there's a certain number of World Series boxers that are gonna be guaranteed slots into the Olympics. The third one is APB, AIBA Pro Boxing. What AIBA Pro Boxing is, it's away from the team competition. This is an individual competition. So we're now allowing boxers to come in, they're going to be paid, they train individually, they don't train like a team like the franchises do. They train individually, they go to a certain site to box that night. There's going to be 5 matches per night. They can box 6, 8, 10, and 12 rounds. The World Series of Boxing is only 5 rounds, okay? These people also get paid. They don't lose their eligibility for the Olympics, and they will also be allowed certain allocations into the Olympic Games. What's the point? Oh, and we're also allowing boxers with professional experience to come in to APB. No more than 20 bouts, and they can come into APB. So any pro boxer that's out there that he feels that, and here's one of the problems that we've always had with amateur boxers. An amateur boxer does real well, and all of a sudden a promoter sees him and he says, hey, I can give you this signing contract, I'll get you a car, I'll get you an apartment. Just sign this contract with me. He signs the contract, he's pro. He's done with the amateurs, he can't come back. 2 fights later, maybe he loses one, he wins one, the promoter says, you know what, I'm breaking my contract with you. He's discouraged, he's heartbroken, he knows he lost his eligibility as an amateur because he can't come back. Now this is a chance, this is a way where with AIBA we can keep him in our program, or we can get him to come back into our program and box in the Olympic Games. So AOB, World Series of Boxing, and APB. The nice part about World Series of Boxing, it's only one night. So boxers, referees, coaches come in. like 2 days before the competition, and they leave the next day. It's not like a week-long or 2-week-long tournament. It's a real short situation. Okay, the next part I'm going to cover is decisions. And just like Bo covered one of the slides about some of the new rule changes, we have what's called a technical rules, and then we have competition rules. Technical rules applies to AOB, WSB, and APB. Then each category has their own competition rules. So AOB has its competition rules, WSB has its competition rules, APB will have their competition rules, because there's certain specific things that are different from each one. Technically, they're the same. There's certain basic things that are the same, for example, decisions, okay? And that's the next part that I'm going to cover. As you can see, there's 6 decisions on here. There are 2 that you don't see on here. From our old days before the rule change, there are 2 decisions that you don't see on here. Which are they? No contest. Well, no contest. Right, let's make it 3. No contest, retirement, and RSC. And RSC. So a retirement is now considered a TKO. Okay? An RSC is also a TKO or TKO injury. No contest, they took it out completely, but it's coming back.
Ray Silvis is correct. Since the making of the original PowerPoint, 2 decisions, no contest and a walkover, have been reinstituted. Please refer to your rulebook regarding those 2 decisions and when they are implemented.
There are points. You can either have a split decision or unanimous, and I'm going to get into more detail on each one. Then you have what's called technical knockout. Technical knockout injury, TKO-I, disqualification, KO, knockout, and walkover. Okay, so points. When there is a winner on points, you can either have a unanimous decision, which basically means the obvious. All 3 judges voted for either the red corner or the blue corner. Then you can have a split decision. 2 judges voted for red, 1 judge had it tied. Or 2 judges, same winner, 1 judge, the other winner. 2 for red, 1 for blue. So you have a split decision. Okay? Question. Okay. Tiebreaker. Now, keep in mind, let's go back to one point that was made earlier. There are no ties in rounds. There are no 10-10s. There are no 9-9s. So no ties on rounds. There may be a tie on the bout. Okay? So 10-9, 10-9, 8-10, 28-28. You have a tie on the total score of the bout. Okay? So that can happen. So the 3 situations that can happen on a tiebreaker is 1 judge has it tied, and then the other 2 judges, 1 red, 1 blue. So you got red, 1 blue, 1 tie. You don't have a decision, you have a tiebreaker situation. The second one, 2 judges are tied, 1 has a winner. There is no majority winner. So that is another example of a tiebreaker situation. And the last one, all 3 judges are tied. So there must be a tie-breaking procedure. In a minute, I'll explain how to use the tie-breaking procedure. It's on the scorecard where you have to put at the very bottom your preference. Okay? So let's go into some of the situations. If an injury caused by an unintentional foul occurs, and as a result the contest is stopped by the referee, the judges will record the points gained by each boxer up to the time of the termination of the bout. The boxer ahead on points will be declared the winner of the bout on points. One of the biggest examples is a cut, because now with no headgear, you have a lot of boxers that are forgetting that they're not wearing headgear, and what are they doing? They're coming in bumping heads. And on those bumps, you create the cuts. So once you have a cut, but because it was unintentional, it was an unintentional clash of heads, and the doctor says the bout is stopped, now you go to points. Okay? If both boxers are injured at the same time, and as a result the contest is stopped by the referee, If the bout is terminated by the referee due to an event that is out of the boxer's or referee's control, destruction of the ring, forces of nature, etc., after the start of the second round, and if it occurs prior to the start of the second round, the bout will be terminated and the decision will be a no contest. So on the right-hand side, the boxer who is ahead on points will be declared the winner of the bout on points in accordance with the scoring system. The round, and this is very important, the round in which the bout is stopped will be scored even if it is a partial round. So 3 minutes, only 1 minute has elapsed, the judges must score that round, okay? Okay, TKO. Here are different examples of what a technical knockout is. Again, boxer retires voluntarily, retirement in the old days. Coach retires the boxer by throwing the towel into the ring. Retirement in the old days, TKO now. Boxer fails to resume boxing after the rest period or after a knockdown. It used to be an RSC, TKO now. Boxer is outclassed in the opinion of the referee, supervisor, or ringside physician. TKO now, it used to be RSC. Here are new things that are new rules, and one of them is the low blow rule, which has changed. I'm going to go into it a little more detail in just a second, but if a boxer fails to recover after the 90-second recovery period on a low blow, then it is a TKO, he loses. Boxer fails to return to the ring unassisted after 30 seconds, in other words, he fell out of the ring and he can't come back within 30 seconds, TKO, he loses. Boxer fails to continue due to loss of contact lenses, TKO. Bout is terminated by referee at the discretion of the supervisor or advice from the ringside physician, TKO, okay? Boxer out of ring. And this doesn't happen very often, but it can. And basically what it says, in the event the boxer being knocked out of the ring, the boxer should be allowed 30 seconds to come back into the ring without anyone's assistance. In case the boxer is not able to come back into the ring within the above mentioned time frame, the opponent shall be declared the winner of the bout by TKO. In professional boxing, they only allow 20 seconds. In amateur boxing, we're allowing 30 seconds to get back into the ring. But if he can't make it back in, he loses on a TKO. Boxer, in the opinion of the referee, is unfit to continue due to a sustained or increased injury from a correct punch. So there was a cut caused by a correct punch. The referee takes the boxer to the doctor. Doctor says, stop the bout. The one who caused the correct punch wins on a TKO injury. Boxer becomes incapable to continue completing because of an injury not caused by a punch. So for example, uncontrolled nose bleeding, shoulder pops out, twisted ankle, those things, then it would be a TKO injury. With the elite boxers, again, there's more opportunities for cuts. So one of the correct procedures that we tell referees is that if you see a cut, by the way, you never clean a cut as a referee. You clean nosebleeds, but not a cut. You take him to the doctor. As you get to the corner where the doctor's at, you immediately tell the supervisor what the cause of the cut was. You do it before the decision by the doctor is made. So you will say accidental clash of heads, correct blow, intentional headbutt. One of those three things the supervisor needs to know because each one has a different decision. So if it was an accidental clash of heads and the doctor says the bout's over, points. If it was a correct blow, TKO injury. If it was intentional, disqualification, okay? But referees have to be ready when they take a boxer to the doctor that they must tell the supervisor immediately before he makes the decision. Okay, boxer is knocked down and fails to resume boxing. It's a KO. Should the referee count up to 10, the bell will not save the boxer. So 2 minutes, 57 seconds left. The referee starts the count. The timekeeper will not ring the bell. The count will continue. If the referee decides that the bout is over, it's either TKO or KO. Okay? Boxer is considered knocked down when the boxer, and one of the things that we should put on there is due to the effects of a legal blow. touches the floor with any part of his or her body other than his or her feet, hangs helplessly on the ropes, or is outside or partially outside of the rope, so he went through, has fallen and is not lying on the ropes, but is in a semi-conscious state and cannot continue the bout in the opinion of the referee. That could also be a standing 8 count situation, okay? So, and again, the bell will not save the boxer. Referee must continue the count. So these are KO situations. In the event both boxers are knocked down, both boxers will lose a bout by KO. If the boxer is knocked out by blow after break or stop and the referee counts up to 10, the win by disqualification will not allow the boxer to continue in an advancing competition. So let me clarify what TKO in the eyes of the referee is and what KO is. If the referee counts to 8 and does this, TKO. If the referee counts to 10, KO. If the referee counts 1, 2, and he saw that the boxer went head first, he's out. There's no way he's getting up. 3, does this, doctor, that's also a KO because the count was not completed. Okay? So 3 examples of what can happen. One is going to be a TKO, one is going to be a KO. Let me explain the standing 8 count. I think that'll clarify it. One of the best tools we have in amateur boxing is a standing 8 count. Professional boxing has chosen not to use the standing 8 count. Why? I don't know. You talk to some of the professional referees and they say, yeah, we would like the standing 8 count. We've got to see our guy go down before we can give a count, or completely stop it without a count. With us, we've got the flexibility that if we have a doubt, we give a count. And you notice one of the slides that I think Dave put up there earlier, I would rather stop a bout too soon I would rather stop 1,000 too soon than 1 too late. Because if I stop a bout and I get out of the ring and somebody says, Ray, that was too soon, I'm okay with that. Because that young man or young lady can box next week, next month. If I come out of the ring and somebody says, God, you let that fight go too long, that's going to hurt. Because I jeopardize the safety of that boxer, and safety is paramount. So if you're ever in doubt, give the count. If you're ever in doubt whether you should stop the bout, stop the bout. Okay? So you have a situation, a boxer takes a blow. Keep in mind that not all blows require a standing 8 count. And I got to be careful in saying that, because I don't want some referees to say, no, it's got to be a devastating blow before I give an 8 count. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that there are times when a blow is connected, it looks good, sounds good, but you see the boxer continuing, there was no effect. A good referee sees a good blow and he moves in, but he sees that there's no effect, that boxer's continuing, he backs off. If I see that good blow and I move in and I see any hesitation in his body movements, in his defense, I'm going to give a count. If I have any doubt, I'm going to give a count. My count will be this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. At that point, I'm going to make a decision, and that's going to be on my conscience whether I do this or I say box. So here's what I'm going to look at. I'm going to look at this young man or young lady, and I'm going to look at their balance. I'm going to step back so I can get a full vision of the boxer. I'm going to look at their balance. I'm going to look at their eyes. I'm going to look at their ready position. And I'm going to look at this. Does he really want to continue? Because some boxers will do this because all their buddies are outside of the ring, and if he quits, what are their buddies going to say? He doesn't want to quit in the ring. He prefers the referee to do this, and then he can brag later on and say, I was okay. The referee, I don't know why he stopped the bout. I was going to kill him that next round. That's okay. Let me be the bad guy. Okay? So I'm going to look at those situations before I stop the bout or before I let the bout continue. Now, keep in mind, my count is strictly on this young man that's hurt. So referees should not do this. 1, 2, 3, 4. The visual should be right here in front of the boxer at all times. The second thing is, when you have a boxer that's injured, you're given an 8 count. That 8 count is for who? The boxer or the referee? It's for the referee. A good punch, a boxer's not going to recover in 8 seconds. It may take 20 seconds. It may take a full minute. It may take longer. That 8 seconds is for you, the referee. So you utilize those 8 seconds to its fullest extent, because that's all you got. You got precious 8 seconds. So like I said, you're going to be counting right here, and you're looking at him, and you're studying, you're analyzing. Does he really want to continue? And the other thing, the other mistake I see referees do is they're counting 1, 2, 3. They're looking at the neutral corner. That boxer's okay. This is your hurt guy. So what you want to do, I don't know if I can get 2 examples. You 2 guys come up here. I'm sorry. I got 2 boxers. Right there. So when I start my count, I am going to send one of them to the neutral corner. So you come over there to the neutral corner. I start my count. Now, keep in mind, right now, I'm not in a position to see the neutral corner. I can't see him unless I make the mistake I just mentioned and do this. So what I'm going to do as a referee, I'm going to start my count. 1, and I'm going to gradually move this way. 3. Now I've got a peripheral vision of the other boxer. What's also going to happen is he's going to start angling himself to look at me. If he doesn't do that, that's a negative. I'm not liking what I'm seeing. If he moves with me, then yes, I can say that he's okay, but at the same time, I can see the other boxer. Okay? Thank you. The other thing is that when you reach the count of 8, and let's say the boxer's still on a knee. So remember, the count continues even in his motion up. That's still part of the count. So you say 9 at that point. The old rule book, the old verbiage used to say that if you continue the count at 9, you must say 10. And we're scratching our head, but why? If the boxer's okay, if he gets up at the count of 9 and he shows the ready position, I can see in his eyes that he's okay, why can I say box? So we've changed the rule. The rule now says may count 9, 10. So the situation is this. I count to 8, and then without another punch, he stumbles. I can say 9, 10. The boxer's out on KO. Okay? The other thing, while we're speaking of knockdowns, boxer goes down. The referee knows that it was because of a headshot. He waves it off, calls in the doctor. Remember, nobody can come in except the doctor. The referee should not do anything to that boxer other than stabilize him. You don't take out the mouthpiece. You don't remove the headgear. You don't loosen his shoes, his gloves. Don't turn him to the side like they used to tell us in the old days. Don't do anything. The doctor's going to come in. The doctor's going to tell you whether he needs your assistance for something. Here's what can happen. A boxer gets hit with a good shot. He goes down, his head hits the canvas, and it bounces off. Some referees say, well, you should take the mouthpiece out because you don't want it to choke. The doctor will tell you, I can fix that. What I can't fix is you moving his head, and let's say he's got a spinal injury. You damage that, I can't fix that. That's on you now. So don't do anything. I'm going to be in there within 3 seconds. Let me do my job. So referees, you see a bad knockout, the boxer goes down, stabilize him, let the doctor come in, he'll tell you what to do next. Okay? It's very important that we continue with that procedure on knockouts. Let's talk about walkovers. 2 different examples of walkovers. One is where the boxer showed up at weigh-ins, he made weight, he passed the medical, the evening comes, his opponent's in the ring, but the other corner's not there. Boxers are announced, We allow 1 minute for the other boxer to show up. If he doesn't come in within 1 minute, he loses on a walkover. The second example is we know ahead of time the boxer didn't make weight or didn't pass the medical. We know that he's not going to be there that night. So all we have to do at that point, we don't have to go the same motions as we used to in the old days, where he has to get suited up, gloves, headgear, the whole works, the presentation, the announcement. The referee goes and checks the gloves, brings him to the center of the ring, says, box, stop, goes to the supervisor, tells him, walk. You don't have to do that anymore. Okay? Boxer presents himself in the ring, you announce him as a winner, and that's it. Okay? That's the second example of a walkover. Okay, the next part that we're going to talk about is a scoring system. As you know, let's see, let me ask a question. How many of y'all have been judging for more than 10 years? More than 20 years? Okay, so some of y'all have seen the scoring system change several times, and we have put band-aids on that scoring system, try to fix it. I think we've come up, well, I know we've come up with the solution, but let me just kind of give you a little history of what has happened to us, our scoring system. If y'all can recall the 1988 Olympics in Seoul, Korea, the famous Roy Jones Jr. decision, that was horrendous. Had 3 judges that voted in favor of the Korean, or 2 voted in favor of the Korean, 1 for Roy. Horrendous decision. After that, the International Olympic Committee said to AIBA, either clean up your sport or get out of the Olympics. So we had to come up with an answer to the IOC. Our answer was a computer, where we were trying to take the human element out of scoring as much as possible. So this computer was developed to take the scores of, again, humans, where they would input what they saw, but the only way their score would count, if you'll recall, was 3 out of the 5 judges must score within a 1-second window. So the question was always, is 1 second enough? Is it too long? What if there's multiple punches, combinations? Does it open up enough windows? So that was one part. They still had to use the keypad. The keypad was transmitted to one central computer at the supervisor's desk. And then we said, you know, this is not working. So then we came out with the high and low score, throw out the high, throw out the low, have the average score. That algorithm seemed to work for a while. But as you saw in the London Olympics, it wasn't the best of decisions. Sometimes you question, how in the world did that happen? And a judge would say, that's not my score. I scored more for red, but my score is saying that I gave the bout to blue. So we have now come back to the 10-point must system. Again, I asked who has been around for 20 years or more. In the old days, we used to have the 20-point must system. No computer. It was all manual, paper scoring, but you had a 20-point must system. That had faults too, because you know there was some rounds that should have been 2018, 2017, but everybody was giving 2019. So even that wasn't perfect. The 10-point must system seems to work much better than all the other ones that we have. And the other thing that we had with USA Boxing was what? The clickers. So red corner would connect the punch, and we would click. Blue would come back, and that's the way we were throughout the whole bout. And sometimes the judge next door to you would also click because he heard you clicking, but he didn't know whether it was red or blue. So at the end of the round, you look at the scores. Okay, red had, according to this, 12. Wow. And according to this, he only had 7. Oh, that's not right. So that's the score you would put on your scorecard.
You wrote it on the wrong side.
Or you wrote it on the wrong side. You had your clickers confused here. So even that was not perfect. You know, part of the problem with the computer, the keypad, with the clickers, is that it created us as judges kind of in a robotic state. We're watching, we're just counting punches. With the 10-point must system, you got to make a change. There are some people, some judges, that were good under the old system that will not be good judges with this new system. This new system requires you to take several different things into perspective. So 5 judges will enter the field of play. Their position around the ring will be randomly selected. So 5 judges have been told you're working the next bout, you just don't know what position you're at yet. They march into the field of play. They come to a little table where there's a bowl with ping pong balls. They'll select 3 on position 3. The next judge comes, 5. He's position number 5. So it says, just before starting the bout, the system will randomly select 3 judges out of the 5 to score the bout. Only the scores of these 3 judges selected will be counted. So the judges will have their judge position number. They'll sit around the ring. None of the 5 will know whether their score is live or not. So when the referee is getting ready to start the bout, and he signals to the to the supervisor and then the timekeeper, as soon as that timekeeper rings the bell, the computer tech pushes a button to start the bout. Immediately the system will select the 3 judges. But the supervisor doesn't know who those 3 judges are. All he knows is Judge 1, Judge 2, Judge 3. He can see their scores each round. Okay? At the end of each round, when using electronic system, the judges will have 15 seconds to enter their score into the electronic scoring pad. So what we tell judges is as soon as the bell rings, you look down and you score your score on the electronic pad. Just because you have 15 seconds doesn't mean that we want you looking up and looking at your buddies, getting signals. We don't want that. Okay? And we've caught some situations where it was questionable. 15 seconds, you look down first, push your button, now you can look up. The judge will select the winner after each round by hitting the red or blue button on the scoring pad. All judges will declare their winner, but only the 3 live judges scoring the bout will decide the outcome. If the bout is tied, the scoring pad will light up and blink, indicating to the judge they have to select a winner. So when you're using the electronic system, one of the things we tell judges is as soon as the bout is over, we don't want your eyes up here looking at the boxers or looking at your buddies. We want you looking down just in case the keypad is lighting up. If it's lighting up, it means you've got to select red or blue. Okay? If the electronic scoring system becomes defective, the referee will collect the scorecards from all judges. The supervisor will randomly draw 3 of the 5 judges to count toward the score. The same judge's score will apply for the remainder of the bout. So the judges will be at their position. They'll have the keypad, but they'll also have paper scorecards on the side just in case the computer becomes defective. Okay? If it becomes defective before the bout starts, they go straight to manual scoring with paper scorecards. If you start the bout and the computer's working, they're using the keypad, but then it becomes defective in the second or third round, now they got to go to paper scoring. We know what the scores are for the first 2 or 3 rounds because the supervisor has those scores. Now we will use the scorecards for rounds 4 and 5. He will randomly select 3 judges. Okay? Each of the judges must determine the winner of the round and award a score of 10-9 or less, but not lower than 6. Every round must have a declared winner, no tie. As I mentioned before, no 10-10s, no 9-9s. Matter of fact, if you're using electronic scoring, it won't accept a tie score. Okay? The supervisor will apply any warnings associated with the bout electronically with the electronic systems technician. So again, you're the judge. We're asking you to make a drastic change. We're asking you to go from a robotic type of counting punches to now become an analyst of a bout. One of the things that we're going to do to help you is, if you'll recall the scorecard, the old scorecard, what did it have on the sides of where you put the scores? It had a remarks section where you would put what? W, X, or J. That is no longer your function. You don't have to worry about that part. Warnings are not your function. J's are not your function. Xing a referee is not your function. Putting a warning because a referee gave a warning, that is not your function. All we want you to do is sit there, watch the entire bout, focus, concentrate, remember the criteria, and apply them. We're going to talk about the criteria in just a second. But we're trying to make it as easy as possible for the judge to do his job, his or her job. Okay? Paper scoring. 3 judges will enter the field of play. Their position around the ring will be randomly selected. Random selection process may vary locally. Now this is local. The judge will select a winner after each round manually, writing it on the scorecard. All judges will declare their winner. In the event of a tie, when using the manual paper process, a winner must be declared on the scorecard before the scorecard is handed in at the end of the bout. Does everybody have scorecards? Probably not. Okay, you've seen a scorecard, right? At the very bottom, what does it say? In the event of a tie, my preference is. So you're going to put an X, a check, or whatever you want to put to indicate that in the event of a tie, you're saying that red won or blue won on a tiebreaker. Okay? Yeah, there's an example of a scorecard. So you're going to put red or blue. So what? Yeah, it's right here at the very bottom. That you enter only on the last scorecard. You don't have to put it on rounds 1 and 2. Only if it's a 3-round bout, only on round 3. You hand it to the referee, he will hand it to the supervisor. Now we know that if it's a tie, we know who your preference is. So examples of how you break a tie would be, for example, well, let me get to the criteria, because if I explain the criteria, it'll explain how the tiebreaker works. For example, if you had a 10-9, 10-9, 8-10, 28-28, who do you give it to? More than likely you're going to give it to blue because he won the last round, he was competitive, he came back, he didn't give up, blah, blah, blah. But we'll give some examples of that in just a second. After each round, the referee will collect the scorecards from the judges and turn it into the supervisor or deputy supervisor. One of the things that we're asking referees to do when they're picking up scorecards is, as they see supervisors right here, so they see judge 1 and 2 over here, look at your judges. If you see that your judges are ready to hand in their scorecards, then you start with this judge, pick up his scorecard, pick up this one, go in a circular motion, and then back to the supervisor. What you don't want to do is come up here and you're rushing the judge. Because what if he made a mistake and he's trying to get another scorecard to complete it correctly? Now you're rushing him, he makes a mistake, just back off, let him fill out his scorecard. Now you pick up the scorecard, but you go in a circular fashion. What you don't want to do is pick up this scorecard, you see he's not ready, you go across the ring, over here, pick up this scorecard, now you come back. Don't do that. It doesn't make the referee look very good. Just pick up the scorecards, go around, or if you want to start from over there, come this way, that's fine. Try to do it in a circular fashion, okay? So here's where the warnings come in. The supervisor will add them in at the end. So in that example that I gave, 10-9, 10-9, 8-10, 28-28, if there was a warning, you had nothing to do with it. Your score was still 28-28. The warning comes at the very bottom where the supervisor, on his score sheet, he will put the warning with the deduction. Now somebody has 27-28, okay? Yeah, this is a supervisor sheet, so after each round, I fill in the scores according to what the computer says. If it's paper scoring, as the referee gives me the scorecards after each round, I put in the scores. And at the very bottom, it has a section for me to put in the warning, okay? So, awarding of points. There are basically 5 criteria for awarding of points. If you can think of them as categories. The first category says number of quality blows on target area. The first bullet point mentions blows must meet the legal blow criteria. What exactly does that mean? Legal blow criteria. It's the old legal blow criteria that we've always had. Must score in this area of the body. Oh, and guess what? This is part of the body. Body shots count. I'm okay. Body shots count, okay? Legal part of the body. The punch must be connected, knuckle surface. It must have the weight of the body or shoulder. That's a punch. That's a punch. This is not a punch. This is not a punch. That is not quality. The punch must connect while not infringing a rule. So I'm holding and I'm hitting. That is not a legal blow. The blow is not cleanly connected. The punches are coming here. Those are not cleanly connected punches. And the last criteria is the judge must be in position to see the blow. So if I'm sitting here, I'm the judge, and the boxers are directly in front of me, one has his back to me, and the other boxer is directly in front of him, even if I see this boxer's head go back, I think I hear a punch, I hear a thud, I can't count that as a punch because I didn't see it. If they're in this V position, I can see the action, I can see the punches, I can see that they were cleanly connected, and it wasn't a defensive move that the boxer went back to avoid the punch. So I must have clear vision of the punch also. Domination of the bout. What exactly does that mean? Well, you look at a bout and you can see who the effective aggressor is. He's going forward, he's dictating the bout, he's the one causing his opponent to be in that counter, that defensive position. He's going backwards, but he's going forward and he's connecting. Effective aggressor doesn't mean that I'm going forward and I'm getting hit. That's not an effective aggressor. Domination of the bout is you're controlling the bout. You're dictating the tempo of the bout. Sometimes I lose words. So he has a combination of attack, but he also learns that he's got to have defense because, like I said, if he doesn't have a defense, he's not an effective aggressor. Competitiveness. What exactly does that mean? Well, competitive may mean that there's a boxer that's shorter than his opponent. He doesn't have the reach advantage of his opponent, but he doesn't give in. He's looking for a way to come in. He's a shorter guy. He comes in and avoids that long reach of his opponent. Or you have a slugger. He learns how to avoid the heavy punches. He's a boxer. He moves. He continuously shows initiative to win. Here's another one. He gets knocked down. What does he do? Does he give up? No, he gets up and he continues fighting. Forgive me for using the word fighting. But he continues boxing. He doesn't give up. He's a competitive person. He wants to get in there. He's trying to figure out how to neutralize this guy. He's not giving up no matter what the disadvantages he's got. The fourth criteria, infringement of rules. Keep in mind that as a judge, as I mentioned before, it's not your job to take away points. It is your job to not give credit because of a boxer infringing a rule. So I'm holding my opponent from attacking. I've got to take that into consideration. The other thing we tell coaches, if your boxer breaks the rules, guess what? You're giving your opponent the advantage in the eyes of the judges. So as a judge, you're not going to take points off because that's the job of the referee, but you are going to not give credit for blows that don't meet the criteria. Okay? So does that give you a better idea on the different categories? Okay, now how do you assess the points? 10-9. 10-9 is a round that was very close. The bell rang, and in your eyes, God, in all 5 categories, they were pretty tight. Okay? But then you start thinking back. Okay, let's say for just an example. Red corner connected 20 blows, blue corner connected 20 blows. The difference was red corner's 20 blows were all jabs. Pow, pow, pow. Blue corner had a combination of jabs and power punches. Now you know who you're going to give the round to. 10-9, blue. That was a very close round in all categories. Second category, 10-8. Bell rings, you know exactly who won. This person dominated maybe 2 or 3 of the 5 categories. Okay? He didn't dominate all of them. Maybe he wasn't as competitive as his opponent. Maybe he did infringe some of the rules, but 3 out of the categories, 3 out of the 5, he dominated. Okay? So that would be your clear winner on a 10-8. 10-7 would be, this guy just dominated all 5 categories. I mean, he had it all. He had the number of punches in the quality area. He had competitiveness. He had the technique, the tactic. He didn't break the rules. That's a 10-7. 10-6s, guys, we don't want to see. That's hardly ever going to happen. Matter of fact, in professional boxing, you hardly ever see a 10-6. I just saw one the other night. I'm trying to remember. It was recently, Sergio Martinez and Cotto. It was a 10-6 in the first round. Other than that, I haven't seen a 10-6, even in professionals, in a long time. But in amateur boxing, 10-6, you've taken the boxer out of the bout. He can't come back. So 10-9, close round in number of punches and the number of dominating the categories. 10-8, clear winner, maybe 2 or 3 out of the 5 categories, he dominated. 10-7, total dominance. Okay? Does that give you a better understanding of the point system? Again, we don't want to make the mistakes of the old days where all rounds were 20-19. Some rounds are going to be 10-9, but some rounds are going to be 10-8. The big majority, yes, are going to be 10-9 rounds because it's such a tight competition. But there are some rounds where it's a very clear winner, and we need to give a 10-8 on that one. Okay, continuing on scoring. Each judge will independently judge the merits of the 2 boxers using the scoring criteria. No speaking or signaling to a boxer or anyone else during a bout. As I mentioned before, it doesn't look good when you're on the field of play and you're looking at a fellow judge, even if there's no harm. Looking at another judge, maybe smiling or doing this, perception is everything. In the eyes of everybody, and remember, we're kind of like on a microscope. Everybody's watching us. The fans, the TV crews, the coaches, the boxers, the supervisor, everybody's watching you as a judge, and they look at all your actions. So be very careful in what you do, what you look at, what kind of movements you make around the ring. Do not leave your assigned seat until the results of the bouts have been announced.